Hey guys, so if you watched my video review of Bridgerton season 2, I know a lot of people were mad that I said it just wasn't as good as season 1. There were so many moments that just didn't feel right to me, and I now have answers as to why. My friend who is joining me here, Amy from As the Bunny Hops, read the books, and well, there's a whole lot of differences. And I think that's why some stuff just fell apart for me. I'm eventually going to read the books now because I feel like they're definitely going to be better. We're going to dive into it. But before we do, if this is your first time here, I'd love it if you take 1 second and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos like this. Hey, Tessa from MamasGeeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. All right, let's talk Bridgerton season 2 and all the differences from the book to the Netflix show.
It's a lot. Have you got a couple of hours?
Couple of hours.
Time. No, maybe not that much, because honestly, once we hit episode 4, it's not there anymore. Everything has changed. It's completely off the rails for me as far as even keeping the spirit of the story.
Well,
so much has changed.
So for me, what I felt like was there just wasn't enough of just Kate and Anthony. That's how I felt going through watching it as a viewer who didn't know anything about the books. And now the way you've described it to me, and I'll let you talk a little bit more about it, it's pretty much the book is focused on Kate and Anthony, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so wait, I am like over 20 years of collecting the books here. I have read them all, like bought them when they were first released. That's like how into all these stories I were. So there's 8 Bridgerton children, right?
Yeah.
Every book, so the Duke and I, that's Daphne. The Viscount Who Loves Me, that is Anthony, and so on and so each child in the family has their own book. Okay. So the family's there. You get little side stories here and there, but they're very, very minor subplots in the book itself. It's going to focus on that one Bridgerton child. Saying child makes it sound so creepy.
Well, they are children too. They're very young.
Sibling who is the focus of the story and the person who they are going to eventually marry, fall in love with, all of that. So and I get in a show, they're going to have to fill up more time. They're going to show other things. They're going to introduce the family. They're going to draw all these connections. I totally understand it's not going to be 100% focused on that particular member of the family and their partner, but it goes in all kinds of crazy directions and things as well, not just filling out their background.
Yeah, so there was the one thing that I thought was so weird, and I mentioned this in my review, but it was so hard because that do not reveal list was like a billion miles long of things we couldn't talk about. But something that I felt was so off and so weird to be shoved into this, because it felt like it could be its own season, honestly, was this Featherington, the mine, that whole thing where they were like trying to con everybody into investing in this mine. And you said that doesn't even happen?
No, there is the new Lord Bridgerton.
New Lord Featherington.
New Lord Featherington. Sorry, there's so many names. I had a whole conversation where I was talking about book 3 being Colin just because I forgot Daphne was first. It's a lot. So yeah, the new Lord Featherington, he is not here. That is not a thing. There is no Mrs. Featherington trying to hook him up with her daughter, who's her 4th cousin, which they make it sound like it's super creepy. Well, and the thing is that sounds creepy, but if we're going by history, marrying your 4th cousin is actually not a creepy thing back, in the 1800s. But, or especially before that, you'd be marrying first cousins. But, that was a whole side thing. Just like the fact that everybody getting married so young, which ties into, so yeah, Ruby Mine, that's not happening in this book. Not a thing. And speaking of people being super young, they made Kate 26. She is 21 in the book. And I think that was very much people find this super creepy that he's like 30 and she's 21. So let's age her up.
Let's make it less creepy. Well, that whole thing, speaking of that, like, let's talk about Kate, Edwina, and Anthony, right? This like love triangle, nowhere near as intense in the books as we got in the show, right?
It is not a love triangle at all. So Edwina is the catch of the season. That's one of the things I talk about in my article where I'm breaking it all down. The queen does not, the queen is not even in the book.
None of them.
The queen is never there. She's a great character. I'm not mad they put her in the series, but I mean, she's mentioned in other books, but she is not a part of book 2 in the series, right? So the queen is not there. The queen does not name a diamond. That's not a thing. The diamond of the season is a reference to calling somebody a diamond of the first water, which is the highest quality diamond you can have. And so when there is the London season and everybody is coming out people are having their debuts, they're trying to make matches, they're trying to get married, it's the whole thing. You would call the person who was the most popular that season the diamond of the season, the incomparable of the season, a diamond of the first water, things like that. There is not some magical moment where the queen is like, you are my diamond. So Edwina in the book is the most popular debutante of the season. So that is true. She is the most popular. Anthony, because he has decided he's going to get married this year, is like, I'll marry her because she's the most popular. I want a good wife to raise my family, and we can get, that's a whole other story. We talk about why he wants to get married this year. But Edwina is like, okay, I'll see what's out there. Edwina she's a nerd. She is very bookish. She wants to marry a scholar. The problem with scholars is scholars don't make a lot of money, and the family needs money. And Edwina is a very dutiful daughter, and she's just like, I'll see what's out there, see if we can't make a good match and like set the family up financially, because they are living in what they call genteel poverty.
Okay.
So she's ready to make a match, but in Kate, she's 21, 26 there. She is a spinster already. She is on the shelf. She's like, I'm just worried about my sister. I am not worried about me. I have no need to marry. That all of that happened in the show, happens in the book on part, right? But Kate and Anthony's like, I'll marry Edwina since she's the most popular. Sure, she looks like a good choice. And Kate's like, he's a rake. I don't want him for my sister. He's bad news. And so she's like trying to put him off.
Gotcha.
When Kate and eventually come together, Edwina's like, I'm so happy for you. I knew he liked you, because they were doing that kind of like fighting all the time, but it's because they really liked each other.
Right. Yes. Which we get a little bit of in the show.
Yeah. There's a lot of antagonism, and you never really get that like, oh, but it's because they like each other. They just look really antagonistic to me. But so Kate and Anthony are, constantly fighting each other because she doesn't want him for her sister. And when they end up together, Edwina's happy for him. She's like,
they're not engaged, right? Edwina and Anthony?
No, never. There's no engagement. There's no wedding that's been called off. None of that ever happened. That was completely invented for the series, not a part of the book.
And Kate never overhears him talking to the other people either, right?
So Kate's opinion of Anthony is based 100% on the things she's read in Lady Whistledown, because Lady Whistledown writes about the Bridgertons a lot. And Anthony is a rake. He is going out and about town and doing his thing. So she's not wrong, but that's kind of like a trope in romance novels anyway. It's just like, you want a reformed rake. Once they've sown all their wild, they're going to settle down anyway.
Right.
So, but she's like, no, he is bad news. He is all over town, going out with whoever. He is not good enough for my sister. So that was all of the conflict there. Not ever overhearing that story or anything like that. That never happened.
And then there's not even, you said Kate's not even like keeping something from Edwina, not planning on all this, just for this inheritance that they will only get if she marries someone, right?
So, right. They are impoverished. They're like, they don't really have enough money. That's the reason why they're living in the English countryside. So of course that was something they added to the series, that Kate, Edwina, and their mother Mary were coming from India. They were living in the English countryside. They made the Netflix series more diverse. No problem with that. You got a problem with that? Die mad. I don't care. I'm all for having more representation. So that's not a major change to the story. English countryside, they were in India, whatever. But they were in both cases poor. Edwina needed to make a good match to help set up the family financially. But they were actually the Sheffields in the book. So the Sheffields, that was Edwina and Kate's father's name. He had passed away, and they needed, because he wasn't there to like bring money into the family, they needed to find a new revenue source. But there was no Sheffield family that was Mary's family that was holding a potential dowry for Edwina over their heads. None of that happened. They were just in town. In the books, they're just in town to make a good match for Edwina because she needs to get married to set them up for their future.
Are they stepsisters or full sisters?
So they're half sisters.
Or half sisters. That's what I meant. Yeah. Okay.
So Edwina, sorry, back up. Kate was born before Mary married Kate.
Yes.
So in the book, Kate's mother dies when she is, I think, 3 years old. And then very shortly thereafter, her father marries Mary. And then they have Edwina together. So they're half sisters. Okay, so Mary is Kate's stepmother.
All right. And then one thing I read, that you wrote about, and guys, don't worry, I'm going to link this article down below if you want to read it. The whole like thunder, scared of the storm thing is like very different and even occurs at a different time, right?
Right. So Kate's mother died during a storm.
Okay.
And that has caused Kate to have this very strong reaction to thunderstorms. Like she goes into basically a panic attack when there's a storm. So in the book, they're at the house party when the storm happens, and the storm is starting and she is scared. She goes to the library, and Anthony finds her there in the library, like basically like crawled under a table having a panic attack because of the storm. And he is very nice to her and very like, it's okay, I'm here, that kind of thing. And kind of brings her out of that panic attack so that she feels better. And while they're talking, that was kind of the moment in the book where Kate's like, okay, you're not a bad guy. You might be okay for my sister. All of that happens before the bee sting in the book.
Because that's a big deal in the book. That changes the course of everything in the book, right?
The bee sting is a huge deal, and I cannot believe that they changed the bee sting so much.
So the bee sting will cut real back quick to the flashback thing. That happens, but that's like at the very beginning of the book, right? Of his dad, how his dad died.
Yes. So that is the prologue to the book, is Anthony coming home, finding out his father was stung by a bee and has died.
A little bit different. Because the Netflix show, he like legit witnesses it, and it's like very traumatic.
Right. So he was there. He saw the whole thing in the Netflix series. Yeah. He was out on a ride with his brother, comes back, and I believe it was Daphne, but I'm not. One of his siblings is like, Dad is dead. That was how he found out in the book.
That's lovely. That's wonderful. So of course he's scared of bees. And you said really in the book, they show this makes him think, oh, I'm going to die young.
Right. So he's determined. And apparently this is a very common psychological occurrence. Like when men, it can happen to women, but happens. This is actually in the after notes, author's notes of the book, she talks about this.
Oh.
Which is why the only reason I know about it is that apparently it happens sometimes with women, but it's much more common with men. If their fathers die young, that it can create this belief that they're going to die young too. They're not going to outlive their father.
Yeah.
So since Edmund Bridgerton died at the age of 38, Anthony has decided, I'm not going to live past 38 either. On some level, he just strongly believes that. He knows logically that doesn't make sense. He's convinced it's going to happen. And because of that, that's why he wants to get married. He's like, I'm going to die by the time I'm 38. And if I want to make sure my family's taken care of, I need to go ahead and get married to somebody who's responsible, who can take care of everything, go ahead and have a few kids so that there's somebody to inherit my title, all of those things. Got
to. Okay. And so then when Kate gets stung by a bee, which Kate does get stung by a bee in the book.
Right. So that is the big deal in the book where the bee sting happens, because that changes everything.
So tell us about the bee sting in the book.
So when she is out talking to Anthony, a bee comes up and stings her on the chest. And Anthony sees that happen, freaks out completely, which he freaks out too. He's like, oh my God, stop, because in his mind, a bee sting can kill you, which it can. And so he is having a panic attack about that. And he is like pressing on her chest, trying to get the venom out from the bee sting. And Kate's like, I'm fine, whatever. And he's trying to get it out. And he's like, that's not working. So in the book, I've never heard of anybody doing this with a bee sting outside of this book, but apparently he treats it like it's a snake bite, and he puts his mouth on her chest to suck out the poison. Boy. And so that's not a good look, especially in Regency England. And so his mother, Kate's mother, and Lady Featherington are walking by and see his mouth here on her chest, and they're like, so you guys are getting married?
Right, yeah. Exactly.
And because she has been compromised, that is the word they used back then. So she's been compromised, and Anthony's like, you guys aren't going to tell anybody. Lady Featherton, of course, was like, of course, that's good gossip. Of course I'm going to tell people. And Anthony's like, you're not going to tell anybody. And then the mothers are like, Anthony, you see the house over there? We've got like a whole bunch of people who are visiting right now, and they can look out on the garden, so they might have seen it. And he's like, damn it. Okay, yeah, we're getting married. So after the bee sting in the book, Kate and Anthony are engaged.
Right, which is totally different. And then let's talk about the accident, which is different and occurs at a different time, right? Because they're already married when Kate gets in an accident, right?
Yes. So in the book, well, let me back up a little bit and just say, even after Kate and Anthony get married, so they bee sting, they're engaged, they get married, kind of the conflict moving forward from that point is that Anthony is still convinced he is going to die. And knowing that he is going to die, he does not want to fall in love with anybody, including his own wife, because he's just like, if I love her, that'll be hard for me knowing I'm going. It'll be hard for her once I'm gone. If we love each other, we're not going to fall in love. We're just going to be like friendly acquaintances who are married. And so in the book, he obviously, it's a romance novel. Of course, at some point, he just can't fight his feelings. He realizes he loves her. He is ready to tell her. He goes home. She is with her sister Edwina and her suitor, because Edwina has a suitor in the book who is a scholar that she couldn't marry because he had no money. So Edwina is out with her suitor, and Kate has accompanied them with the dog. The suitor loses control of the carriage they're in. It turns over. So Anthony is on his way to go find them because he must tell her he loves her. He's on his way to find her. The dog, something happens. He loses control of the carriage. Carriage tumbles over. Anthony gets there. He thinks Kate's dead, but she's not. She only has a broken leg.
Much different than a coma.
Much different than a coma. So he helps get her out of the carriage. They take her back. He gets the surgeon to come. They set her leg. She is fine. I love you. I love you. All is happy.
Yay.
In the Netflix series, they have a little adult moment before they're married. They're still not married. They never show the wedding in the book. Because The wedding happens like halfway through the book. Sorry, in the series, they never show the wedding. It's just like we get to the end and then they're like, oh, they've been married for 6 months. Yay. So in the book, in the series, they go, they have their gazebo moment. And then Anthony wakes up, Kate's gone. He goes to see her. She's not there. And he's like, oh, I bet she's on a horse ride because that's what she does when she's feeling some kind of way. Who doesn't do that? So he goes off to go find her on her horse ride. They're in the storm. The horse kind of rears up. Kate falls off, hits her head on a rock. Anthony's like, ah! Goes to get her, takes her back. She's in a coma.
Yeah.
So broken leg, coma, married, not married. It's all over the place. So,
I mean, at least they end up together, I guess. Which I felt like was very clear from the beginning in the Netflix series. Even they made it quite obvious. But let's talk real quick too about one of the things that I don't like, that I said I didn't like about this season. I feel like they revealed Penelope as Lady Whistledown way too early, because it just takes away from so much mystery that you had in that first season. And in the books, they don't even reveal her until what, book 4?
It is book 4 that, so if we're looking at it, of course, Daphne was book 1, yeah. Anthony book 2, book 3 is going to be Benedict. And let's talk about Benedict for just a second, because nobody in his family knows he's an artist. This is a secret, because if you're of that class, you're not like an art, like if you're a woman, you might dabble at watercolors, you might have like a little hobby, but you're not like an artist. So that's a whole secret until his book. So the fact that he was like trying to get into art school, and there was like Anthony, like that was a whole weird subplot to me anyway, like Anthony bribing his way.
It feel weird, yeah.
School. Yeah. But whatever, nobody knows about art school. So there's that. Book 3. So book 3 is Colin, Benedict's. Book 4, Colin and Penelope.
Got you. Okay.
You do not know until book 4 that Penelope is Lady Whistledown. And that is a whole thing in that book. So I'm not quite sure. We know season 3 is coming. We know season 4 is coming.
Yeah.
How they are going to handle that, I do not know, because it is a big secret. Nobody knows it. And that includes Eloise.
Yeah, Eloise, that clearly doesn't happen in book 2.
No, well, it's funny. So Julia Quinn, who is the author of the books, she does a thing where every book has an epilogue, but she also did a thing where she wrote second epilogues. And back in the day, I actually bought one of these. They were like usually $1.99 or something. There was this one book. I was like, I want to know what happened next. And I actually bought it, where you get like a PDF.
Yeah.
Like really old school. You'd get like a PDF that was like the story after the story. Yeah. And so she wrote all of those, and now you can actually buy those in a collection, right?
Oh, that's cool.
But book 4 is Colin and Penelope. Book 5 is Eloise's book, and book 4 and book 5 take place at the same time in two different places.
Well, so, they're not the same age, so that makes sense.
Exactly. And I am expecting, since we know season 4 is happening, I'm expecting book 4 and book 5 to be season 4.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's what I would guess would happen. But it was a big deal at the time, because Julia Quinn said everybody complained about how the fact that both of those books ended without Eloise, who was Penelope's best friend, knowing that she was Lady Whistledown. So that was the subject of the second epilogue that she wrote, that you could buy back in the day for $1.99. Where it was Eloise finding out that, so they've already revealed that. So again, that's another whole plot that's gone away now because it's all out in the open. I don't know.
I was gonna say, speaking of Eloise too, isn't this dude, what's his name? Theo Sharp, like he doesn't exist, right?
Theo Sharp, completely invented for the show. And Eloise in her book, when we get to that, so we're going way ahead in spoilers. Eloise is not, she's very outspoken. That's on the nose. But she is not like, oh, I don't want to have a season. I'm too scared. She is ready.
Really?
So when the events of this book are taking place, she's not out yet. So the fact that she was having her debut during the Netflix show. It's only a year early, but they were holding her debut for another year. So Penelope was out, Eloise wasn't. But Eloise, in her book, in the very beginning of it, they talk about how she was so excited. She couldn't wait to go find, who her true love. She's seeing all her siblings get married and happy. She wants to go find her true love. She's excited for it. She's ready. And then she's like having season after season, not finding anybody. That's kind of where her story starts. So the whole idea that she's like running off, I want no part of this.
Yeah.
Not true to the books at all. And one little other thing about Eloise, the title of her book is To Sir Philip with Love. I don't know if Sir Philip rings a bell to you at all.
Yeah, wasn't he in the first one?
That is Marina's husband.
That's who it is. Wait, what?
So in Eloise's book, she actually runs off, and we're not going beyond what's like on the cover for spoilers, because I want people to read the books. They're great, and everything. But in her book, she runs off because she has been corresponding with Sir Philip, who is a widower.
Yeah, that's
two children.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So, if they go anywhere close to the book when they do season 4, which we're
they're going to kill Marina.
They're going to kill Marina, and Eloise is going to be their stepmother.
Oh, that's weird. That's going to be weird for Colin, I would think. I don't know. This is crazy. The stuff they're doing. I mean, obviously you have to, like you said at the beginning of this chat, like you have to change some stuff and add some stuff for show. But this feels like a lot of differences. I would have loved for Penelope not to have been revealed. I think that would have added so much more to this season. And then again, focusing more on Kate and Anthony, there was too many crazy things going on, like that mind scam. And the fact that doesn't even exist drives me nuts. And then adding the queen, again, like you said, the queen's great. Didn't you say the boxer doesn't exist either?
The boxer exists. He is not, but he is not in book 2 at all, because he's Simon's friend. Right. He was part of the Duke and I. He's not part of the story.
And so then Simon makes an appearance in the book, although we didn't see him in the show. Right?
I mean, and we knew they had announced that Regé was not going to be in season 2,
right?
And a lot of people were feeling some kind of way about that, which, I mean, like, I would have liked him there just because he's lovely eye candy. But at the same time, looking at the book, it is Kate and Anthony's story, so he is literally there when they play Pall Mall. Yeah, he's there playing with them, because of course if there's a large family gathering, he's going to be there because he's family now, right? So he's there for moments like that, but he's not a driving force in this story. So him being away doesn't change. They made enough changes that had nothing to do with Simon. So
I know, this is crazy. So there you have it, guys. All these major differences. Is there anything else that we didn't cover? I think we pretty much covered everything.
Colin and Benedict and Eloise and
Leo and that's right. You said Colin never even goes to visit Marina, does he?
No, that's not a part. Colin, and well, I will say I'd have to kind of dig back into the book a little bit more than I did to know he doesn't visit Marina in the book. That's not a thing that happened. I can't remember how much he was actually there for in the book, because his thing is he travels, which they touched on. Yeah, he's going around the world and because he's trying to find his place. That's as a third son, fourth child in the family, he doesn't know where he belongs. Yeah. So, and they did touch on that a little bit, that he doesn't know what he's doing or what his purpose in life is. They kind of, and that is true to the story, but not the visiting Marina. That didn't happen.
This is all so crazy. I don't know. I just felt like I was so much more into season 1. And guys, don't get me wrong. And I said this in my review, I did enjoy season 2. I just felt like it didn't hold a candle to season 1 for several reasons. And it seems like a lot of it is the changes that were made from the books. So thank you, Amy, for joining me today to break it down and talk all about the differences from Bridgerton season 2 and the book that it was based on. You guys sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think. And don't forget to give me that thumbs up and subscribe. You guys can check me out at mamasgeeky.com, and you can check Amy out at As the Bunny Hops. I will link that article down below so you can really dive into it and read everything that she wrote. Thank you. Thank you so much to all of my monetary supporters, my members here on YouTube, as well as my patrons. If you haven't joined yet, please consider doing so. We have some really awesome perks, including a monthly Zoom meeting where we get to talk face to face. Thank you again to everyone who supports me.